Hey there, thank you for joining me. Today I'm discussing the 5 mistakes transitioning military service makers make. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. Now, let's get started. Every year, there are roughly 200,000 service members transitioning from the military into the civilian workforce. As of last year, there were a total of over 500,000 unemployed veterans. And while life in the military has probably prepared you for many of life's challenges, there are mistakes many veterans, including myself, make as they go through their transition. So let's talk about it. Number one, holding on to your rank. The vast majority of civilians and civilian employers do not care about the rank that you held in the military. It does not matter if you were a sergeant, a master sergeant, a lieutenant colonel. It's more about what type of experience that you've gathered and the type of value that you potentially bring to the organization. Being a platoon sergeant doesn't mean much in title, but managing logistical operations for 33 employees, now that does matter. Analyzing training statistics to discover gaps in training and developing programs, that also matters. Your badges and tabs do not typically hold weight. Being an airborne ranger or air assault qualified will more than likely not really matter. Understand that the days of people standing at parade arrest or attention or calling you by your rank anymore, they will be over. In that sense, you are starting completely over in a new work culture. Number two, no financial safety cushion. At a minimum, you need to plan to have 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved prior to exiting the military. Even if you are retiring from the military, for the first 30 days, you will not receive a paycheck, and you will need to be prepared for that. Failing to have this planned out will result in additional stress, increased credit card usage, and possibly bank loans. The transition is stressful enough without worrying about how you're going to provide food for your family or how you will pay next month's rent. Start thinking about your finances as soon as possible, preferably a year or more before the transition. Number three, underestimating the difficulty to get the job. Now, there are some jobs that are easier to get than others. If you want to make chicken sandwiches at Burger King, you probably can get that position pretty easy, especially right now. If you want to work at the cash register, at Target or Walmart, that might be easy to get too. However, if you want to find a job with a higher salary, say 90, 95,000 or more a year, well then those jobs typically require more effort to attain. Do not fall into the mindset that all companies are dying to hire veterans. Some employers are advertised as veteran friendly, but you have to put forth the effort to display your value and sell yourself to these companies or departments. For the most part, six-figure jobs will not come easy to anyone. You can get them, but you have to put the work in. Number four, failing to consider your geographical location. The town or city that you exit the military in might not be the best place for you to stay for a successful transition. In the Army, we have a lot of bases in rural areas with low economic growth. For example, if you're exiting the military in the middle of Missouri, like Fort Leonard Wood, it will be difficult to get a $100,000 salary because those companies are simply not there. You might have friends and families in those rural areas, but if money is important to you, if career satisfaction, if advancement is important to you, then you have to consider looking to where are the jobs. I would look to the larger cities. Look to where certain industries are located. If you want to work in IT, there are certain cities that have more opportunities than others. And the same goes for the federal government. In Chicago, right now, there's 950 federal jobs. In Washington, D.C., there's 2,800 federal jobs. D.C. has 3 times the amount of federal jobs than Chicago. So if you're living in Chicago and you really want a federal job and you haven't had luck in Chicago, then you might want to consider moving to the DC area. Number 5, military speak in a resume or during interviews. When writing your resume and preparing for the interviews, You try to eliminate all military acronyms. In the Army, we typically say FTX or field exercise and AAR for after action reviews or NCOERs for evaluations. Most civilian recruiters and hiring managers, they have no idea what those acronyms are. They're not going to take the time out of their day to educate themselves on the acronyms. They will feel a moment of confusion, and it could reflect negatively on you during the interview. In some cases, it can even cost you the job. Think of how you want to convey your experience and replace the acronyms. In most places, it's better to think of a synonym for an acronym. For example, instead of platoon live fire exercise, you can mention that you planned and executed a training event that involved 30 employees, which resulted in increasing organizational proficiency. In my experience, I feel like I underestimated the difficulty to get a meaningful job. I didn't think I was going to be rejected 75 times, but I was, and I kept applying. Making an effective transition from the military to the civilian career, it will be challenging. It will be daunting, but you will do well as long as you avoid the 5 main mistakes I mentioned above. Well, that wraps up the video on the 5 mistakes transitioning military service members make. If you have any other job seeking advice, questions, or comments, please leave those down below. If you like this video, please click like and consider subscribing. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.